How was your Monday?
Hey, thank you very much, Scott. Well, let's just say it was a Monday. I think you might concur with me on that, Steve, as far as market action goes, huh?
Sure, of
It
course.
felt, it felt like a Monday. Um, I'm going to refrain from using that quote from Office Space. But welcome, everybody. Today is the 26th. I'll be your host for the next hour. Got my trusty wingman in here, Steve Gomez, as well. And
You need
before
some
we
more
get going
flair.
here, yes. Before we get going here, just a little bit about the disclaimer, make the lawyers sleep a little bit easier here, and just want to make everybody in attendance aware of the fact that all the info that we share with you in this webinar or any of the other webinars that we have coming at you on a weekly basis, this is all for educational purposes only. So please do not misconstrue anything that we say as a solicitation to buy or sell securities or anything else. If you do need investment advice, please seek out someone like a registered investment advisor or a Series 7 licensed stockbroker. That way they're nice and legal and they can dispense all the buy and sell information to you that your little heart might desire. So once again, everything that we share with you is for educational purposes only. And before we get going here, I always like to take a little bit of time at the top of the hour for the new people that might be in attendance to let you know about the education and basically the infrastructure that we've built around the tech that is TI. And as everybody can see over here, kind of all gets going with the Traders Room, the trading room hosted by Barry Anderson. A great place to be. Doesn't matter if you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced trader. A lot of good traders in there sharing their wisdom with you. And of course, we have Barry in there showcasing the way that he uses the tech and his trading methodologies as well. And he does a fantastic job at moderating such a large room. So if you have not been taking advantage of the trading room, by the way, it is free. Not a lot of trading rooms out there that are worth anything or free, but ours is. It's just one of the perks that you get when you're part of the TI family. Then we have the 5 p.m. Eastern webinars. Of course, you get myself and Steve today on Monday. Steve takes the helm for tomorrow and the trade of the week. Hump day, good old Wednesday comes around, and of course we like to change it up just a little bit and bring in our founder and CEO, Mr. Dan Merkin, along with our Chief Operating Officer, Brad Williams. It's always entertaining with those two. Andy's going to round out the 5 p.m. Eastern webinars on Thursday with the Trading Studio, and I'm going to ride shotgun with him. So Monday through Thursday, there you have the 5 p.m. Eastern webinars, and of course our daily support session, which is every weekday, Monday through Friday, starting at 12 p.m. Eastern, and we allocate an hour for that. So 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern every day, same bat time, same bat channel. And the next slide here, I'll show you how to get there. So just take note of the address in the bottom left-hand corner there, trade-ideas.com/live. Once you get there, you can bookmark that, and for easy navigation, same address each and every time. So come and join us. It's a great place to get questions answered live, and we have a different trainer in there each and every day. In addition to that, a great resource, especially when you're brand new, are the Trade Ideas University 4-part series here. And as you can see, we've got 4 different parts. Beginner, intermediate, for the 101 201, beginner, intermediate, 301, and of course advanced, which covers things like back testing and the more advanced functionality of the software. You can access all of these videos through our YouTube channel, so it's really easy to pop over to YouTube, search for the Trade Ideas channel. Once you get in there, just search for TI University and the videos will pop right up. In addition to that, we've got a ton of educational videos in our YouTube channel. So it's a great place to spend some time educating yourself on the product. So check it out if you haven't done so thus far. Alrighty, and here we go to today's itinerary. Of course, I'm gonna let Steve talk about the overall market action before we get into the meat of the rest of the content here. So Steve, if you're ready, sir, I'll go ahead and kick it over to you.
All right. All right. Market went up. Back to you, Jamie. I knew I was going to do that. If you want some more color, sure, I suppose we can do that. Last week I was a bit more not so optimistic I'm more optimistic this week. Just looking in hindsight there, we're way above our 50-day moving average, but we seem to be here in the S&P that we're looking at, by the way, seem to be just consolidating very healthily in a sideways fashion, respecting that 10-period moving average. I've said it before, there's really no bearish case that you'd want to make up here. The market just is forcing people to come in and buy. It's a FOMO market, whatever you want to call it. NASDAQ, if we look at the Qs are giving us a wonderfully bullish textbook, kind of a cup and handle thing happening here. The cup and handle is really nothing more than just a nice rounded base, and then the second attempt to pull back becomes an even shallower base, and that becomes the teacup handle, and your cup runneth over. There you go. So very positive looking footprints in the sand over there as well in the NASDAQ. The QQQ looks very solid. Tesla had earnings after market. I mean, nothing really, I guess the earnings were good, but it always just comes down to how does the market react? Was the good earnings priced into the current shares? For the most part, maybe it was. It's kind of a non-event here, but I did want to bring up Tesla because, it's looking very bullish again. It was very bearish down here, but worked its way through that declining 50-day moving average, and now is just kind of giving us a little bird in the hand look there. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Tesla try and at least, continue to hold some strength. Nothing really, like I said, over there in tech land to be concerned about. And then the other thing that was bringing up the rear, it was the small caps. And I mentioned this last week, this could have become, a textbook head and shoulders. But guess what? 4 or 5 days later, since we last spoke, this has happened. So it really just kicked the notion, any notion of being neutral or waiting for tea leaves to tell us what to do, or the tea leaves are telling us to look for setups and continue to try and get long here. Not to try and short this market, but to continue to try and get long. Just on the fun side of things, it looks like GameStop is up pretty good after hours. I guess they had some news with raising some capital, who knows, but the fun and the party is going on over there. I was at 150 this morning at the open, and now it's pushing close to 200. So no position. A couple people do have positions here, but for me, it's just more fun to watch the system get light shed on it and see some scrutiny come into the system here. Other than that, that's all I really got, Jamie. No reason to be short. Just continue to look for longs, and that's it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, GME, everybody thought it was going to die. They didn't think that thing was going to reinflate, but boy, it is an interesting show.
Sure, TGB was a sleeper, and it really did come to life today. Thanks for reminding me of that, David. So if you keep these things on your radar, maybe they're a week or two late, but the idea over there, same thing, was to respect that 50-day moving average in TGB, and that was the stop for the trade of the week. Never triggered, so hopefully people are participating in that one. Didn't get off to a great start, but it's good now. That was actually 1, 2, 3. That was last week.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Let me grab the screen back here. Okay. Thank you very much for that, Steve. And here we go. So, once again, just to kind of recap Steve's recap, I mean, here we are. I think we got within a few pennies of all-time highs again today from Friday's high up there. Not a whole lot of volume going on. We can see right here, 0.76 on the SPY. But we shall see. Wouldn't be bad to see a little sideways movement here, just to get things in motion. The reason I'm saying that is because every time we get close to all-time highs, we're popping new all-time highs on low volume. It's kind of hit or miss with the AI and Holly. You can see the blotter here today. Now, we had some really good days last week. Boy, a lot of red on the Holly blotter today, and I can't even remember the last time that I saw out of 5 trades, 4 stops get hit. I mean, that is a high percentage rate there as far as stop outs. And Ram, I see your question there. Swing trading results. Yeah, we've got a link. Maybe Steve can find it and post it in there as far as the performance on the back test for the strength alerts. I will talk about the fresh strength alerts a little bit later in the presentation here. But right now what we're going to do is just kind of go over these Holly trades, because For people that attend on the regulars, you know that there are three things that I typically like to go over if they are present in a Holly trade, and that is any moderate or conservative spread that ended up showing up by the close and how we might be able to take advantage of that. It was pretty much non-existent today. And if we look right here, conservative and moderate spread at the close, typically what we do is we look for a bigger number over here than we see over here. And as you can see, there's just none of that to be had. The other thing is add-ons. What might be a good spot to add on to a Holly trade? And then lastly, the third category would be trade arounds, okay? And if I had to pick a day today and say what kind of a Holly day it was, I definitely have to say it was a trade around day, because obviously we can see all the stop hits here. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna focus on the aggressive column here. And let's just go ahead and pull up FSM. Tell you what, let's just go ahead and shrink this back down to 15-minute candles for ease of viewing. And here we can see it right here, okay? This was a short trade in FSM, and we can see when the buy came out right here in this candle, or excuse me, the sell, excuse me. My brain is working backwards today. So we short it right here, and then within the next 15-minute candle, boop, we're getting stopped out right up here at the 676 mark. AI's in at 659. Stop is at 676. Now that is a tight stop, no matter how you slice or dice it. But what do we have here? We had about 30 minutes. We spent a little bit above that stop area, and then we capitulated back down. So that's pretty good action around that stop area, acting more or less as a pivot, okay? And so by seeing the AI get stopped out, we can see, okay, is it gonna hang around there? Is it gonna go too far? Because if it makes too far of an excursion, it's really no interest to me or anybody else for that matter that is watching the stock. But once we see this close, you know, of this bar and this bar open up, well, then we can have some confidence and go, okay, Holly got stopped out. I'm going to use the tops of these wicks right here as my stop, and I might take a stab at it in this candle right here, okay? We get a better price than the AI and absorb pretty much the same type of risk on a second mouse play here, in which case this would have been rewarded. Timing was just a little bit off. Trade ended up working pretty nicely with the slow grind down. Just got a little crazy in these this opening 45-minute period here. A lot of the times they'll settle down after that big opening 15-minute bar, but we still had some wide gyrations there. And considering the fact that this is a smaller price stock, no big surprise there. But once we settled in here, it was just a slow grind down, and we even had an opportunity to maybe add to that position or make a first time entry if we didn't feel comfortable getting short in this area here. We can see right here, low of the opening was broken right here in this candle. So whether we waited for Holly to get stopped out and took a trade around, or whether we waited for this thing to come on down here and break that opening range, timing was off, but there was still some opportunity in the FSM short today. In addition to that, let's see here, I'm pretty certain that FSM was all over my high volume downside ticker today. And you can see this is how it looked at the close as it was popping lows. But it's always good to see something that Holly is already, or the AI has already produced. And then when we see it come down here and crack these lows, see it coming through my high volume ticker as well. That helps give a little confidence. How did FSM finish in volume today? Not too bad. 8.36 on the relative scale, kicking out a little over 18 million when it usually only trades about 3.48 million there. Okay, so timing was off with Holly, trade around potential, but you had to work for it a little bit. Now the other one here was a long, and it was in Casper. All right. Once again, getting the stop out pretty quick. This one came really quick in the same candle. 9:27 on the in and 45 seconds, 9:28 on the exit. So this thing happened very quickly here. Everything looked great. One up candle, two up candles, three up candles. Holly's gonna buy it here. Whoosh, wicks right down through that level and then right back up again. Now, once we see it reclaim this level, well, we could have taken a position there. and then we would have had to sit through one more little pullback here, okay? Which is why here lately, even if I'm seeing strong compare counts, and by the way, I think I forgot to mention that earlier, which is what I usually do, but let's take a look. I'm just gonna backtrack here and check out the bullish readings that I had after the first 15 minutes. And I'm thinking to myself, well, looks like we might go up there and pop all-time highs again, but the market was just a little lackluster today. You know, when we look at this action after the first 15 minutes, you know, opening candle right here. Yeah, we did grind up a little bit, but you know, not a whole lot of just straight upside action, just the inchworm back and forth, gyrating market. Sure didn't make it easy on anybody today. But I did notice those bullish compare counts, and I thought to myself, well, let's see what happens. But when we're tapping at all-time highs and the volume is low, a lot of the times what I'm doing is I'm waiting for pullbacks. You know, a lot of the times I'll chase. It's always the wrong move when you're trying to get fills in this market. So check this one out. If we would have been a little bit patient here and waited for the pullback to that 10 period, we did get a close here, all right? And it took a little bit of time. It was underneath it this whole period here. But once we reclaimed it here, coinciding right with the Holly entry, then we could have had a little bit more confidence in sitting that wiggle there. It reclaims the 10 period, also while simultaneously reclaiming the same entry signal as Holly. So that'd be another spin to put on this, you know, reclaims the 10 period, no rush here when the market is in these conditions and we're experiencing low volume. A lot of the times you can get a good pullback entry. Now, Steve, having said that, you know, if we look at the trade of the week, which got off to a bang up start today, and I'm not going to steal too much of your thunder. Well, I set my price alert. I looked over, I saw it get hit, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to chase. I'm going to wait for a little bit of, oops, that's not even the trade of the week. Hold on. There we go. I was like, that chart didn't look like that. VLDR. And of course, you can see where I set, well, where's my price alert here? There we go. My price alert, well, it was 1460, 1463 to be exact. I saw it take off. I looked over and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I don't want to chase. Maybe I'll wait for a pullback. Of course, we had to wait for that one, okay? But we did get the pullback, but this thing is strong, off to a bang up start. Looks like it might have a, you know, some more action in it tomorrow, and we'll find out. But today was a pullback day as far as most of the things that I was watching, and we just have to take that into consideration when the market conditions are as such. So not a whole lot to talk about with Holly. CSPR, once again, nothing was easy today. Pullback would have worked, waiting for the reclamation of the 10 period and the original entry signal. A little bit of trade around opportunity in FSM, but looking at everything else, it was just a straight up stop out, and things didn't really improve from that state. I mean, UMC is worth a little bit of an honorary mention because we get stopped out for 100. We finished today only down 278. But once again, you know, not a whole lot to write home about here. 10 period stayed in control for most of the day, but statistical probability, statistical alpha, when the market is in these conditions and we're tapping at all-time highs, not the easiest for the AI to find. All right, I see your question there. Which one of these courses teach you how to interpret the candle chart Jamie is reading? Well, if you're just referring to the, you know, the 15-minute over here, there's a lot of different ways to interpret charts. You know, everybody's perception is a little bit different. Everybody has different studies that they like to incorporate in their charts. You know, it might be a certain set of moving averages for one person and a different set for others, and different studies on different charts. So yeah, it looks like Steve threw a good recommendation in there for you, Sandhya. All right, so let's go ahead and progress here, and let's talk about the good old bread and butter things, especially in markets like this. before the market started getting a little bit stale up here at the tops, it looked like the opening range breaks were few and far between, not a lot of quality, and it seems like they're coming and going. We'll have a day where there's a lot of them, and the next day won't be but a few, and today was one of those days as well. Of all the stocks that I had coming through my high volume, low and high tickers here, the good news was not a whole lot of symbols. You're going to notice a lot of repeats in here, and the same for the downside. The good news is it makes things easier to manage if you don't have that many symbols coming through. On the other side of that coin, not a lot of good quality patterns. Matter of fact, I think I had two come out here of my long version that were worth mentioning, and those are as follows. RVPH was coming through all day. Let me get rid of these lines here. In here we can see it. We're going to have to shrink the time frame down to the 5-minute level here. And that is not the right spot. Been noticing that here lately. Okay, there we go. Now I clicked on the alert from my window, and as you can see, the blue arrow is right here. Okay, so we had a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 35 minutes opening push up, and then we got this nice little 30-minute or so consolidation area right here. Then later on, RVPH comes popping through with a new high, and right through that little level right there is where we have interest in it. That level being right at the $6.22 mark. As you can see, this previous high getting taken out with volume. How did it close on the day as far as relative volume? And wow, you typically don't see relative volumes coming in at this level. That is 3,000 times normal, okay? 3.23K. So Reviva only kicking out a mere almost 84 million shares. When look at the average daily volume on the 3-month, we're talking about 34,000 shares. That's what's giving us this crazy relative volume metric here. But pretty liquid today and a pretty smooth move. You know, risk level right here. How do we assess risk level? These are 5-minute candles, not including the entry bar. We look back at the lowest point in the prior 15 minutes, which as you can see, 5, 10, 15, this was our risk area in case things went wrong. And this is our reward area that we ended up with here, which is much bigger than what we have here. Now, a little bit of a pullback here, but not all the way down to our stop. A little breather, comes back up here and attacks it later, and even presents with yet another opportunity to maybe even add some, if you're comfortable doing that, as we break these levels here and head higher. So from the original entry signal of 6 and change, you know, we topped out up here just shy of 950. So from a percentage standpoint, definitely one of the best trades that I saw for the day in RVPH. With a nice simple pattern, nice simple risk management, so forth and so on. And Joseph, you know, as long as I can have some type of pattern to identify, okay? You know, when we see these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 5-minute candles going sideways here with this prior high here, it's just the simple methodology of waiting for the break on higher volume, okay? These patterns can exist in the 5-minute area, 15-minute area. You know, if we switch this to the 15-minute time frame, I mean, it's the same thing here. It's just you're only keying off of these, you know, high put in at the open, high put in the second 15-minute candle. So you only have 3 bars to consult, all right? Whereas if we look at the 5-minute, you just got more bars doing the same thing, which is the same pattern. I just like to have more in the opening 30 minutes to an hour. I'm typically watching a 5-minute intraday. And then after the first hour, I'll switch to the 15. So hopefully that's what you were getting at there. All right, so a real nice move in RVPH from the high volume tickers, looking for those opening range breaks. The other one worth mentioning today is Voyager Therapeutics. And of course, no big shocker that these are all in therapeutics or some kind of developmental drug phase or whatever. I mean, it seems like most of the high movers these days, fast movers, a good percentage of them are going to be in that sector. And I don't think I need to go into detail about why that is. Okay, so more of the same here, just not quite as big of a move here, but still a nice tight little pattern nonetheless. We get the signal coming in right here as this stock breaks highs, right at the 547, get a nice move straight up to 601 or 6 and change. Not near as big a move as RVPH, but a 50-cent move on a $5 stock is nothing to scoff at, all right, especially in these markets. And once again, this one just kind of took off, didn't even come back through half of our stop loss area. And how did I arrive at this stop loss area? Not including the entry candle. We just count back 15 minutes, 1, 2, 3, take the lowest point, and there you have a clearly defined risk area. Now, big difference in the way this one behaved and RVPH. RVPH, you had all the time in the world to make an exit. Voyager acting like most of the stocks that I've seen today, where if you didn't take it somewhere up here or somewhere here or somewhere before you got back to break even, your profit would have dissipated by the close. So those are the only two high quality ones that I spotted today coming through here. Everything else was a little too stretched out. Didn't really fit into the what we call the A+ setup category. And out of this guy, I was only able to identify one, and that one came in the form of XXII. Now, what you're going to notice here too, we got a good move down, but just like Voyager, if you didn't take the money, eventually the money went away. And been noticing this in a lot of different plays, whether they're longs or shorts, it just doesn't stick around very often. So this one was kind of crazy. Nice big upswing in the first 10 minutes, and then followed by a nice big downswing in the following 20 minutes. Sellers were there, buyers were there, sellers took over, and then of course, buyers and sellers became equal for about 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes. We get this nice little consolidation here. We get a poke through right here, and then later on, we get capitulation down. So whether you took it here or whether you waited for it here, if we did take it here, stop was up here, so no stop out occurred. Or if you wanted to wait for confirmation of that body candle to close and not just rely on the wick, same effect, just probably got a little bit worse of a price. But that short alert coming in at 526, and we bottomed out around 467. So once again, on a lower price stock, a very nice percentage move. And then it formed a little serial, almost a serial bow pattern coming back up. But once again, the goal here, or the main observation, is if you didn't take the money, it didn't stick around for very long. Doesn't matter if it was a short or a long in Voyager. The only one I saw that really had any follow through today was RVPH. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Being in the money, deciding to take your profits, exercise that risk management, something that we all have to grapple with on a daily basis. So that's about all we had for the opening range breaks up and opening range breaks down. Now, I would like to speak a little bit today about the strength alerts. I think, what are we on, week 3 now, Steve? I think this is the 3rd week that the strength alerts have been delivered. And we get a lot of questions. There was a question coming through earlier. And of course, the big question is, well, how are we supposed to trade these things? And, Michael Noss has stated to me many times, he's the creator of the strength alerts, well, we're going to give you the stocks that look the strongest to us. Now, as far as how you trade them, that is up to each and every individual. That's why we're not giving you entry points and exit points, okay? We're simply telling you, according to our rankings and according to the calculations that we put the servers through, these are some technically strong stocks, okay? Relatively strong, thus the term strength alerts. Now, how we enter them is up to us. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys how to trade them. I'm just going to kind of walk you through my thought process today, being Monday, getting this fresh batch of 5 alerts here, and what was going through my head. Now keep in mind, what is going through my head probably isn't going through your head. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, okay? But it's something that we've talked about ad nauseum in the past. For example, I could give 10 traders the same account with the same amount of money in it. I could give them the same windows to deliver the alerts. And after 20 trading days, putting on long and short trades, I can tell you this, we'd probably have 10 unique results. Some people would be up, others would be down. Some people would be up a lot. Some people would be up a little. Some people would be down a lot. Some people would be down a little, okay? Because perception is reality in just about, well, everything, and the market is no exception. So here were my thoughts on just scrolling through these plays today and picking out what I thought was interesting for me, right? So right off the bat here, not too far into the open, where did my brokerage plus go? I'll show you the two that I've made entries in right now, and what I'm calling these are just starter positions, okay? HOMB. I went ahead and got long a little bit at the 28.42 level, as you can see up here from my brokerage my brokerage plus tag in my live account at E-Trade. Now, what was going through my head? It certainly wasn't the intraday pattern that was unfolding. And once again, talking about reverting back to the pullback alerts, yeah, I could have chased it here, 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 but look what happened for the rest of the day. You could have got a much better price. Now, is that always the case? No, but that's the way it played out today. Now, what really caught my attention on HOMB, and I looked at all of these on the weekly time frame, is I liked what was going on here in the weekly. All right, now we're looking at weekly candles. Look what we're doing up here. We're riding that 10 period, slowly pecking higher. We got the wicks down, which tells me, hey, when the sellers did come in, they really didn't maintain control. We got a nice green bar Friday, and then we've got this little squishy bar up here for today, but we're not too far from a weekly breakout, okay? So that's why I like HOMB, all right? Because not only is it a strength play, but it's looking really choice to me on the weekly, all right? Same thing is going on with HIG. More of the same, just a tighter range up here in the weekly. Not right in the 10 period like we see HOMB doing, but staying stronger, all right? Slowly that 10 period is going to catch up to the weekly, but it's just a hair away. I think this one actually had something weird happen after market. Let's just see real quick. Or was it HOMB? I guess that was a bad tick, Steve, because my price alert fired and I pulled it up and there was a big candle, but I guess we'll just have to write that up to a bad tick. Okay, mystery solved. So HIG and HOMB looking really choice on the weekly. Now, if we look at the other ones, which are, what do we have, AN, got a totally different look on the weekly here. Nice chart, just grinding up higher and higher, but didn't really appeal to me. That's not to say that this trade won't do well or might not work, but for what I'm looking for on the weekly, it just doesn't fit the bill. Once again, talking about might be a day for pullback fills. Same thing holding up in AN, BGFV. And this is one that's been talked about a lot in the trader community as of late. Obviously, you can see what it's been doing. Had its little breakout on Friday. So I'm thinking to myself, I'll watch it right at this level. Took a little pullback today. In keeping with tradition, a lot of the stocks that were up first 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes had nice little pullbacks. So I'm going to continue to watch these other ones. But once again, not fitting the exact pattern on the weekly that I typically like to see. This one did, pulling back. So I will continue to monitor BGFE as well. And then what was the other one that we had here? DHI, once again, off to the races since this breakout. But me being partial to the breakouts, whether it's an intraday breakout, whether it's a daily breakout, or whether the same thing is occurring on multiple time frames, I feel like I'm missing the party on this one. Who knows how many weeks it's going to go up straight? Don't know. It could go up another 2 or 3 weeks. Have no idea. But just kind of wanted to point out to you guys the way I'm viewing the information, what appeals to me. And so far, my two favorites are the ones that are just sitting there on the cusp of the weekly breakout, the HIG and the HOMB. Now, you guys might be hearing this and you might be thinking, yeah, I like what he's looking at on the weekly, or it may have no interest to you. You might be strictly, a daily and an intraday person. But just keep that in mind. Since I'm a breakout guy, that's, naturally what I'm going to be attracted to is things that are about to break out regardless of time frame. So Steve, anything that you would like to add about how you perceive the strength alerts or anything like that?
None, other than it's just another set of ideas to work with, and then set price alerts. It's a 1-2 punch, no matter where they come from.
That is correct. That is correct. All right, ladies and gents. So I do believe I'm pretty much done with content today. I mean, it was kind of like, you can't squeeze blood out of a turnip or a rock. And, as far as the things that I find interesting in the market, just not a whole lot of things out there meeting the criteria. I guess a few is better than none. So, Holly having a kind of a lackluster day, not a whole lot of range breaks making appearances, not a lot of follow through in a lot of the things as we saw from those range breaks that worked. If you didn't take the money, things quickly regressed. So, as far as what I'm doing in this market, and by the way, when I got into these positions here, I'm only opening up what I call starter positions in the HOMB and the HIG. In other words, I'm just getting a little bit of skin in the game, because when you have a live position on your blotter, even if it's $1,000 or $2,000 worth, you're going to pay attention to it. Okay. So that way, if I do experience some pullbacks in these things, then I've got a little bit of extra cash to average in at some decent levels. And from what I've noticed over the past 2 weeks, there were some really nice, positions where I made initial entries, they pulled back, and, it would have made a lot of sense to go ahead and go, okay, I'm going to make my second entry here. And then you average in with reason. You don't just buy it because it's down, but if it looks good technically, then that's where an average in is, a good play. So if there aren't any questions, I'm gonna have to cut it a little bit short today and bring Scott in, but I'll wait for a minute to see if anybody has any questions that they'd like to submit in the questions panel. And Waleed, while I wait for any other questions to come in, I see your question about hammer patterns on the hourly chart. And I'm wondering if I had an intraday hammer in here, but I don't know what time frame it might be in here. Okay, you said hourly, right? Okay.
We have the ability to scan for that in our search. We have 60-minute hammer candles.
Yep, and there we have it. Let's see. So we've got a pre-configured one here, and I'd be happy to drop this into the chat panel. It has very minimal filtering. So, the bottom line is this. If you pop into configure in our alert window, just go to search, type in hammer. It's going to take you right to the hammer alerts, and there you have a 60-minute hammer alert. So, I could drop this in. All I've got is 500,000 on the 10-day average, maximum stock price, but easy enough to get to that 60-minute hammer for you. And then you can install your own filters according to the stocks, prices, and volume levels that you like to see. Is there any possibility that the pre-market bars will start at 4 a.m. at some point? Well, Tim, we hope they will at some point. It's been highly requested for quite some time now. It is on the developmental timeline. We just don't know when that might happen yet. As the coders would say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And Ram, to your question on, do you close the strength alert stocks on the close of next Monday? Okay, where this topic comes into play, where you open and close on Mondays, is based around the back testing that Michael originally did with the strength alerts, okay? It's just showing you what would have happened if you opened and closed on Monday, all right? Just to give us some kind of idea of what to expect. Having said that, keep in mind, we're not recommending that you open and close on Monday. That's just the data set that Michael produced to give everybody an idea of what happened in the past if you did open and close on a Monday. And lastly here, to your question, Tim, back testing at more than 63 days. That is also a highly requested feature. Matter of fact, a lot of people have been requesting that for a very long time. So we do hope to add to the odds maker history period. You know, when it first came out, it was only, I can't remember now, Steve, it was so long ago. I think it was only 30 days initially, and then we doubled it. But it was originally designed to kind of find out what's happening now, you know, recently. It wasn't designed for long term, but we've gotten so many requests that hopefully we can extend that period at some point in time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for popping in. As always, Scott, if you're ready to walk us out, sir, we're ready for you.
Thanks, Jamie. Sounds good. Yeah, a couple items. We have our much anticipated test drive starting on May 10th. It's a 2-week test drive. It's just under $9 to join. It gives you all the premium features of Trade Ideas with no obligation to continue a premium subscription. It's the best way to try out the AIs, the back testers, the ability to auto trade using interactive brokerage or e-trade with the AI strategies. All that good stuff for 2 full weeks. Just go ahead to trade-ideas.com/test drive to find out details. We're also giving away some subscriptions during the course of the 2 weeks. So do check that out, sign up, make sure you got your space reserved, and then join us for that 2-week test drive. It's always one of our most anticipated events that we do several times a year. There's a new ebook out from Dave Mabe, our Director of Software Development. Trade-ideas.com/strategy will take you to the page to get his favorite trading strategy indicators. It's also got some cloud links in the PDF that you can put in your layout and apply what you learn from that ebook. You can find our podcast by searching for Trade Ideas Podcast wherever you listen to your pods. We have a new one we just put out a couple weeks ago. It's got an interview with David Afariat, one of our managing partners, and we should have a new one out pretty soon. Also, check out the archives. We've got some good interviews that came out in 2020 and early 2021, so do check that stuff out. There's a code. It's a new code right now for May, starting next week. May Days. It starts today, and it's going to be good through May. I say it's 15% off your first month or year of any Trade Ideas subscription, so or upgrade from standard to premium. So write that down and use it when you check out. You can find Jamie on Twitter at QuantBot. Steve Gomez is TI Steve G. Also find at Trade Ideas, and Trade Ideas Pro is the Facebook handle to like and share everything with your friends. So do that, please. And then send any of your questions to info@tradeideas.com. Goes into our help desk, gets you the help you need. And recording of this will be available for you tomorrow morning or later tonight. So stay tuned for an email tomorrow from GoToWebinar with instructions on how to find it. Thank you, Jamie and Steve. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks, everybody, for popping in. Thank you, Steve. We'll see you later.